For decades, Johnny Depp has been a mystery wrapped in talent, rebellion, and creative chaos. From indie icon to blockbuster pirate, he captured imaginations and built a legacy unmatched in contemporary cinema. But in the last 10 years, his image shifted drastically, smeared with scandal, courtroom drama, and personal tragedy. Now, at 62, Johnny Depp has broken the silence that once defined his public posture. For the first time with unfiltered clarity, he opens up about his marriage to Amber Heard, the accusations that shattered his life, and the long road to reclaiming his identity. Born on June 9, 1963, in Owensboro, Kentucky, John Christopher Depp II had anything but a traditional Hollywood start. Raised in a working-class family, Johnny was the youngest of 4 siblings. His father, John Depp, was a civil engineer, and his mother, Betty Sue Palmer, worked as a waitress. The family moved frequently, and by the time Depp was 7, they had already relocated several times across the US. His childhood was turbulent. His parents' relationship was strained and eventually ended in divorce when he was 15. That event, and his close bond with his mother, shaped much of his emotional world. Depp has described his youth as filled with anger, confusion, and deep artistic longing. Music became his first escape. At 12, his mother gifted him a guitar, and it quickly became his refuge. He dropped out of high school at 16 to pursue music full-time, playing in garage bands and sleeping on friends' couches. He eventually joined a band called The Kids, which gained a local following in Florida before moving to Los Angeles in hopes of stardom. But music led to acting by chance. Depp's then-wife, makeup artist Lori and Allison, introduced him to Nicolas Cage, who encouraged him to try acting. That connection got him an audition for Wes Craven's 1984 horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street, and suddenly, the rock guitarist became a Hollywood heartthrob. Depp's role as Officer Tom Hansen in the TV series 21 Jump Street, 1987 to 1990, catapulted him into teen idol status. But he loathed the label. "I was always uncomfortable being that guy," Depp once said. "That wasn't me. That wasn't who I wanted to be." His artistic ambition led him to quirky, offbeat roles, most notably in Tim Burton's Edward Scissorhands, 1990, which began a long, iconic collaboration between the two. From there, Depp carved a reputation as a fearless actor who valued character over fame, expression over box office. By the 2000s, Depp was both critically admired and commercially adored, especially after his role as Captain Jack Sparrow in Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean franchise turned him into a global superstar. Despite personal eccentricities and tabloid tales, Depp was a bankable icon. But his greatest personal storm was still to come. Throughout the 90s and 2000s, Johnny Depp built a reputation for taking unconventional roles and living an equally unconventional life. He became known for avoiding the mainstream Hollywood scene, instead surrounding himself with artists, musicians, and eccentric personalities. His romantic relationships were just as high-profile. Depp had deep, passionate ties with Winona Ryder and Kate Moss, both relationships ending in heartache, but influencing his public image as a brooding romantic. His tattoo Winona Forever famously became Wino Forever after their breakup. In 1998, Depp began a long-term relationship with French actress and singer Vanessa Paradis. Together, they had 2 children, Lily Rose and Jack. The couple lived primarily in France, far from the Hollywood glare. For 14 years, Vanessa and Depp maintained a private, relatively stable life. Depp credited Paradis with saving him. "She was everything. She gave me stability and a family," he once said. Despite their eventual separation in 2012, their split was notably free of scandal, a sharp contrast to what was about to come next. Depp's reputation in the early 2010s was beginning to fray. He was embroiled in lawsuits over finances, allegations of on-set behavior issues, and rumors of excessive alcohol use. Still, the public loved him. Then came The Rum Diary, and with it, Amber Heard. The Rum Diary was filmed in 2009 and released in 2011, based on a novel by Hunter S. Thompson, one of Depp's personal heroes. During filming, Depp met Amber Heard, a young and ambitious actress a full 23 years his junior. At the time, Depp was still with Vanessa Paradis, while Heard was dating photographer Tasia Van Ree. Their chemistry on set was undeniable. Although they didn't begin a relationship during filming, sparks were evident. Years later, Depp admitted, "She struck me as incredibly beautiful and smart. There was an electricity." By 2012, shortly after his split from Paradis, Depp began seeing Heard. Their relationship went public in 2013 and gained significant media attention. In interviews, Heard described Depp as intelligent, gentle, and wildly creative. They were seen at red carpet events, charity galas, and film festivals. Their glamorous appearances masked the chaos brewing beneath. Friends of Depp reportedly expressed concern about the speed and intensity of the relationship. His lifestyle grew more erratic, excessive drinking, missed appointments, mood swings. Still, in February 2015, Depp and Heard married in a private ceremony at his Los Angeles home. The union, however, would mark the beginning of one of Hollywood's most infamous downward spirals. Barely a year into the marriage, things began to unravel publicly. Reports of heated arguments, violent outbursts, and emotional volatility became more frequent. Neighbors recalled police visits to the couple's home, though no charges were initially filed. In May 2016, Heard filed for divorce and requested a restraining order against Depp, accusing him of domestic violence. She arrived in court with bruises on her face, which she claimed were inflicted during a fight with Depp. The photographs went viral, instantly reshaping public perception. Depp's representatives denied the allegations, stating, "Amber is attempting to secure a premature financial resolution by alleging abuse." Depp's fans were shocked. The world split, some sided with Heard, some with Depp. As part of the divorce settlement, Depp agreed to pay $7 million, which Heard claimed she would donate to charity. Their divorce was finalized in January 2017, with both parties releasing a joint statement. "Our relationship was intensely passionate and at times volatile, but always bound by love." In December 2018, Amber Heard penned an op-ed for the Washington Post titled, "I spoke up against sexual violence, and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." While she never mentioned Johnny Depp by name, the implications were clear. She described herself as a victim of domestic abuse and framed her career as one impacted by speaking out. The article drew massive attention, and reignited a storm Depp thought had settled. Though their divorce had been finalized nearly 2 years prior, Depp's career was still reeling. He had been dropped from major projects and had become a polarizing figure. In his view, the op-ed was the final blow, a direct hit to both his reputation and livelihood. In March 2019, Depp filed a defamation lawsuit against Heard in Virginia, seeking $50 million in damages. The suit stated plainly, "Ms. Heard is not a victim of domestic abuse, she is a perpetrator." Heard countersued for $100 million, setting the stage for one of the most widely covered celebrity trials in recent history. As the legal battle brewed, so did public sentiment. Fans began combing through interviews, audio clips, legal filings, and past footage. Hashtags like #JusticeForJohnnyDepp and #AmberHeardIsAnAbuser began trending globally. For the first time, Depp found a growing public base rallying behind him. Even before the defamation lawsuit took center stage, the impact of the allegations was undeniable. Depp, once one of the most bankable stars in Hollywood, found himself blacklisted. In 2018, he was quietly removed from Pirates of the Caribbean 6, a franchise he had carried for over a decade. Then came Warner Bros.' decision to ask him to step down from Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore in 2020 after he lost a libel case in the UK against The Sun, a British tabloid that had labeled him a wife-beater. The judge ruled the claim was substantially true, delivering a crushing blow to Depp's legal efforts in Europe. The fallout was more than professional, it was personal. Friends reported Depp falling into a deep depression. He described feeling boycotted by Hollywood. He was also battling financial hardship due to lawsuits, bad investments, and a lavish lifestyle that included multiple properties and a $30,000 a month wine habit. Despite everything, Depp refused to settle the defamation case quietly. For him, it was no longer about money, it was about clearing his name. Before the US trial, Depp first took legal action in the UK. In 2018, The Sun ran a headline calling him a wife-beater. Depp sued News Group newspapers and journalist Dan Wootton for libel. The trial took place in the summer of 2020 and became one of the most heavily publicized libel trials in British history. Amber Heard testified as the key witness for the defense, detailing 14 alleged incidents of abuse between 2013 and 2016. Depp, on the other hand, denied all accusations, claiming it was Heard who had been violent. On November 2, 2020, the court ruled in favor of The Sun. Judge Andrew Niccol concluded that the great majority of alleged assaults of Ms. Heard by Mr. Depp have been proved to the civil standard. The verdict was devastating. Not only did Depp lose, but the case itself became a lightning rod for public scrutiny. Critics claimed the judge had been biased, while others believed the evidence supported the ruling. Depp's legal team filed an appeal, which was later rejected. The loss, however, did little to quiet Depp's resolve. If anything, it fueled his determination to seek vindication in the US court system, where he felt he could finally present the full truth. In April 2022, the trial that had been building for years began in Fairfax County, Virginia. Depp's $50 million defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard would finally be heard by a jury. Over 6 weeks, the courtroom became a media circus. Cameras streamed every moment to millions across the globe. The public watched closely, not just for the legal implications, but for the deeply personal glimpses into Depp and Heard's troubled relationship. Depp took the stand for several days. He calmly, and at times emotionally, detailed the deterioration of their marriage. "It's been 6 years of trying times," he told the court. "I didn't deserve this, and neither did my children." Perhaps the most striking moment came from recordings presented in court. In one, Heard could be heard saying, "Tell the world, Johnny, tell them, I, Johnny Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and see how many people believe you." The clip struck a nerve. For many, it validated Depp's claims and showed the double standards faced by male victims of abuse. Heard's legal team countered with allegations of physical assault, sexual violence, and psychological manipulation. She testified with tears, describing Depp's alleged outbursts and emotional cruelty. Still, cross-examination exposed inconsistencies in her stories. Public sentiment appeared to swing heavily in Depp's favor, especially online, where memes, TikToks, and reaction videos went viral, overwhelmingly mocking Heard's testimonies. In response to Depp's defamation suit, Amber Heard filed a $100 million countersuit, accusing Depp of orchestrating a smear campaign that ruined her career. Her legal team brought forward witnesses, including therapists and friends, who supported her claims. They also emphasized the 2020 UK ruling as proof of Depp's abuse. One major argument focused on a statement made by Depp's former attorney, Adam Waldman, who had publicly called Heard's abuse claims a hoax. Heard's team said these remarks were defamatory and caused significant damage to her reputation. Heard told the jury, "I have been harassed, humiliated, threatened every single day. People want to kill me, and they tell me so every day." Though her testimony was passionate, inconsistencies and perceived exaggerations hurt her credibility. Court observers noted her changing facial expressions, and critics suggested her demeanor was performative. Depp's team, meanwhile, remained steady, focused, and presented a more cohesive narrative. On June 1, 2022, the jury delivered its verdict: Johnny Depp had been defamed. The jury awarded him $10 million in compensatory damages and $5 million in punitive damages, later reduced to $350,000 per Virginia law. In Heard's countersuit, the jury found that Waldman had defamed her on one count, awarding her $2 million in compensatory damages. The mixed verdict was widely interpreted as a decisive win for Depp. He posted on Instagram shortly after, "6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this case, knowing the legal hurdles, was made only after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome." Amber Heard expressed disappointment but maintained that she stood by her testimony. The public reaction was overwhelming. Fans celebrated outside the courthouse, Depp's music gained millions of new streams, and memes supporting him flooded social media. In many eyes, Johnny Depp was not only vindicated, he was reborn. In the aftermath of the trial, Johnny Depp found himself standing at a crossroads. He had reclaimed his public image and won in the court of law, but the toll had been enormous. Years of litigation, humiliation, career damage, and personal pain had aged him. He was now 59, nearing his 60s, and re-evaluating everything: his work, his relationships, and how he wanted to live the rest of his life. Depp left the US for a time, retreating to his home in France and spending extended periods in the English countryside. He reconnected with close friends, many of whom had stood by him during the most difficult years, including musicians like Jeff Beck, actors like Helena Bonham Carter, and longtime collaborators from his early career. In interviews, Depp began to open up carefully, measured in tone, but unmistakably honest. In an interview with the Sunday Times, he said, "The truth is all I ever wanted. I don't have hatred in my heart, but I do have scars." For many, this was the first time Depp publicly acknowledged the deep trauma the situation had caused him. He had lost years of work, suffered financial strain, and endured a public shaming that would have destroyed most. But what stood out most in his post-trial interviews was not bitterness, it was relief. Depp began to travel, paint, and write again. He signed autographs freely, showed up at rock concerts, and appeared healthier, more at peace. Following his courtroom victory, the entertainment industry, once hesitant to be associated with him, slowly began reopening its doors. The first major project announced was Jean du Barry, a French historical drama in which Depp played King Louis XV. The film premiered at the 2023 Cannes Film Festival and marked his return to leading roles. The reception was mixed critically, but Depp's performance was largely praised. More importantly, the film's premiere was met with a standing ovation. Not just for the movie, but for Johnny Depp himself. For many, it was symbolic. The fallen star was once again welcomed to the world stage. Soon after, he was offered new scripts and began discussing potential collaborations, including independent projects, art films, and even theater work. While it remained unclear whether he'd return to major franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean, Depp expressed more interest in intimate, artistically meaningful work. In an interview at the Karlovy Vary Film Festival, he said, "I no longer chase anything. If the work is honest, and it speaks to me, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm fine living quietly." This statement underscored a new phase of his career. No longer bound by Hollywood expectations, but guided by artistic freedom. Perhaps the most devastating effect of the allegations had been the impact on Johnny Depp's children, especially his daughter, actress and model Lily Rose Depp. During the early phases of the controversy, she had remained silent publicly but supportive privately. In 2020, she posted a photo of Depp from her childhood, writing, "My dad is the sweetest, most loving person I know, and I've known him my whole life." Both Lily Rose and her brother Jack had maintained a low profile throughout the legal battles, but insiders confirmed they stayed in regular contact with their father. After the trial, they were reportedly relieved and proud of his decision to speak the truth. Depp's relationship with his ex-partner Vanessa Paradis also remained strong. She publicly defended him during his lawsuits, describing him as a kind, generous, non-violent man. Their bond, forged over 14 years and 2 children, helped Depp remain grounded through his darkest years. He once said, "They were the reason I kept fighting, not for fame, not for money, but so my children wouldn't have to live with a lie about their father." Despite the verdict and the overwhelming support from fans, Johnny Depp never received a public apology from Amber Heard. In fact, she continued to insist she was a victim. After the trial, Heard moved to Spain and gave an interview stating, "I made no admissions. This is not an act of concession. There are no restrictions or gags with respect to my voice moving forward." She and Depp eventually reached a settlement in December 2022. Heard agreed to pay $1 million in damages, but without any formal apology or admission of guilt. Depp accepted the deal, pledging to donate the funds to charity. His legal team explained that Depp's goal had never been financial. Mr. Depp is pleased to close this chapter of his life and looks forward to starting anew. Though the public hoped for a formal reconciliation, it never came. Depp seemed content to leave the past behind, not with a dramatic flourish, but with quiet dignity. Now 62, Johnny Depp is no longer the flamboyant rockstar actor caricature that tabloids once obsessed over. He's introspective, more philosophical, and somewhat reclusive. But he's not bitter. In a rare appearance at the Sarajevo Film Festival in 2024, he told the audience, "Time teaches you. Pain teaches you more. But survival gives you perspective." He reflected on his past mistakes too. "I've loved hard, lived freely, but I've also ignored red flags. That's on me. But abuse, I will never admit to what I didn't do. And now the world knows." These moments of reflection revealed a man who, despite immense suffering, had regained control of his narrative. He resumed painting, launched a foundation to support male victims of domestic violence, and quietly funded independent art programs for abused teens. Those close to him say he finds joy in simplicity now, sketching, playing guitar, reading poetry. One close friend said, "He's still Johnny, but with a little more peace, a little more truth." Public perception has shifted drastically since the height of the scandal. Once seen as a controversial figure, Depp is now largely viewed as a symbol of male resilience, a rare example of a man who stood up to false accusations and won. His fanbase, known as Depp Heads, has grown stronger. Online campaigns, fundraisers, and fan art flooded social media, showcasing unwavering support. Many believe his case exposed deeper societal biases and sparked new conversations about gender and justice. Some celebrities who had once distanced themselves from Depp have begun working with him again. Even major studios have hinted at interest in future collaborations. Still, not everyone agrees. Critics argue that the trial's tone, especially online, was hostile to genuine victims of abuse. Others say it was a media circus, reducing serious allegations to memes and mockery. But most agree on this: Johnny Depp changed the narrative. He refused to be silent and, against all odds, restored his name. As Depp re-emerged, Heard faced the opposite fate. Her career struggled. Studios were reluctant to cast her in major roles, fearing backlash. Rumors circulated that her role in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom was significantly reduced. She eventually moved out of the US and settled in Madrid, where she began a quieter life with her daughter. Occasionally, she gave interviews defending herself, but public opinion was largely unsympathetic. She said in a 2023 Spanish interview, "I just want to raise my daughter in peace and heal." Despite her attempts to start over, the trial remains a defining chapter of her public life. While some still believe her, many saw inconsistencies that undermined her credibility permanently. In 2025, Johnny Depp gave one of the most personal interviews of his life to Rolling Stone, sitting down for 3 hours in his home in France. For the first time, he addressed the ordeal with complete honesty. "I loved her. I truly did. But love doesn't mean allowing yourself to be destroyed. I stayed longer than I should have because I believed in fixing what was broken. But sometimes you have to walk away to save yourself." When asked if he forgave Amber Heard, Depp paused. Then answered, "I don't hate her. I pity her. I hope she finds peace. But I'll never let her lie about me again." The interview ended with a simple quote that resonated deeply. "The truth is a funny thing. It waits. It watches. But it never disappears." Johnny Depp's journey is no longer defined only by film or fame. It's defined by survival, by perseverance, by the refusal to surrender to lies. At 62, he stands not just as an actor, but as a human being who weathered one of the most public betrayals in modern history and came out not perfect, but whole. He still plays guitar late at night. He still drinks red wine. He still gets teary when talking about his kids. But now, he carries something he hadn't held in years: peace. As he said before leaving the interview chair, "I don't need anyone to clap for me. I just need to breathe." If you found this video compelling, moving, or enlightening, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon to get notified on upcoming stories about Hollywood's biggest legends and hidden truths. Thank you for watching.